What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the fourth solo album by rapper bun-b. Basically, this product is called Trilogy, the Epilogue, and it came out in the fall of 2013. So basically, this is the follow-up project to Trilogy from like the summer of 2010. I'd say it was a pretty good pitch about that particular album. Definitely the Trill trilogy of projects were pretty damn excellent as far as pitches like that kind of happened. This is kind of like the denouement to that particular sound. There is like another album that comes out after this one that's Return to the Trill from 2018, but this was a good epilogue to that particular saga between 2005 and 2013. It's a pretty good pitch. The thing about this particular project is it's not so much like new bun-b stuff from like stuff that he did like in 2013, 2012 pitches like that. It's more leftovers from like the days of like when he was working on Trilogy as far as pitches like that kind of happen. Stuff Wikipedia says it was recorded between like 2008 and 2013. Now it's not as full blown. There may have been some 2013 songs in there, but it felt like bun-b kind of went through like a mild kind of retirement cycle after Trilogy in 2010. He might have dropped like a mixtape or something like that, but for the most part, he really was kind of on the verge of just like not doing as much music. So it's just kind of the concept between Pimp C's death and things like that. Just the pitch behind that particular type of stuff. UGK not being around as much was just kind of the concept. This bun-b was kind of in a question mark as far as what was going to happen with the future of that, as far as that particular kind of went. But this is an excellent album here. I really look after this. Is a quality type album. Just the pitch behind it has a lot of good gems on here. I definitely recommend getting the deluxe edition with 14 songs. It's just a better overall pitch to kind of get here. Definitely has some pretty ferocity. This is another nice one just to kind of get. Now I don't remember each particular score that I gave the previous Trill projects, Trill, 2 Trill, and Trilogy, but I would have to say I think I severely liked Trill from 2005. I think I was kind of a little bit more haphazard with 2 Trill. I'd say it's a good album, definitely worth the purchase, but it's not as much of a full-blown classic. And Trilogy definitely has some good bounties of songs on there. This one's about pretty, I mean, this one's not as full-blown a classic, but it is very good. I would definitely have to say it's pretty close. It's an arguable classic, right in that realm of being an arguable classic. Just the concept of some of these type pitches just to kind of get here. It's the particular sound that bun-b was working on in the 2 Trill and Trilogy day. Working on in the 2 Trill and Trilogy days, I'd have to say in particular. It's just some good concepts. Now, this is a relatively brief promoted project as far as that particular kind of went. Like, the sounds had kind of shifted from how they were in 2010 and 2008. I'd have to say the Southern rap the Southern rap 2008 dominance of 2 Trills a little bit different back when Lil Wayne was king. Some of those type pitches, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, Rocco, some of those type folks, and then Drake. Although Drake was on top of the world in late 2013, the drill type sound of Rick Ross and Gucci Mane and some of those type folks, Waka Flocka, that particular sound of like mid-late 2010 when Trilogy came out was a little bit different as well. So this particular sound is not so much a relic, but it's not really trying to get to like the top of like the pinnacle of like contemporary type music. Now there is at least one song on here called Triller, which is a pretty nice contemporary bop. Really like that one that has Kurt Cobain's on there. It's a pretty good pitch. That one really feels like something circa like 2012, 2013. I want to say that it probably was in recent times, considering that Kurt Cobain's wasn't around as much in like 2010. So that might be a more recent type one. But I would have to say that probably should have been a single. But for the most part, this is more rooted, kind of like leftovers type material, but it is pretty excellent. So we'll go ahead and get to the single here. Just like I was saying, the promotion of this project was relatively brief. There were some music videos, but bun-b just doesn't commonly chart for the most part. So it's just kind of the concept. It's just more of an just more kind of in if you know type territory. But Fire was the first single. It says Rick Ross, 2 Chainz, and Serrani on there. Serrani is the hook singer, pretty similar to like Movado, some of those type folks I'd say, but this is a real nice one. It's like an evening wide awake kind of turn up song I'd have to say in particular. It's like a good reggaeton. The song has like a good reggaeton type hook I'd have to say from Serrani. Definitely a pretty good pitch for that. It's like a get lit kind of vintage early 2010s drill type club gem I'd have to say in particular. Real good concept. There are some ones on here that just should really take you back to like 2009, 2010, 2011 as far as pitches like that kind of go. A lot of these thrilling type ones. I like the fact that bun-b really stepped out on this project. The social score of this album's going to definitely get a higher score than like the quality score of this particular project. Not like this is going to get a mild score, but it's just kind of the concept that bun-b was kind of turned up on this project and felt like stepping out a bit and was not quite as insular as far as pitches like that kind of go. This is a real nice one to kind of have for like some socializing, just frat noise pitches like that, just that standard fare, get some drinks in your system pitches like that, real nightbound and some of that type fare. Fire is definitely one of those that really does it. Just a litty type of feel that really has that sort of. And that's the thing. Bun-b had said about Fire that that was originally a song that he wanted to throw in Trilogy, but it just didn't fit the format, or he had stuff he was trying to do with it. So it's just a good concept to get some of this just to be able to say, I like when artists kind of do these leftover thoughts of like projects that they have. Like if Eminem were to do that with Relapse, which he did do that with Relapse Refill, was just kind of concept when you get some of those leftover type ones like 50 Cent if he were to do that with Get Rich or Die Trying. That'd be pretty awesome. Be great to get Ludacris to do that with like the Red Light District, some of those type ones. But yeah, it's just a good concept. Just being able to say so. Just being able to say so. Yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about the sound. So out of 14 songs on here, I wound up recommending 10. So the concept about it, the only 4 songs I don't recommend on here would just be The Best Is Back, No Competition, Gladiator, and the legendary DJ Screw. Now, thing about these particular 4 songs, these production fares on these ones are just kind of a little bit more lousy. I'd have to say The Best Is Back is just kind of an uptown type one. Normally, I like some of those uptown kind of more rugged kind of uptown, just kind of city bound type ones for just like some city stepping, but that one just didn't really have the appeal behind it. It was just not as thrilling of one. No Competition. It was the same thing with No Competition. That was another uptown type one, just more vintage UGK type fare that just didn't pull up the vibes nearly as well as UGK typical kind of does with some of that. It was kind of a waste of a Raekwon feature as far as particular that kind of went. It was just kind of one, just that typical kind of Texas swing that just didn't nail it nearly as well as it needed to, I'd have to say. Both The Best Is Back, No Competition just had some lousy kind of uptown funk type feels about it that just didn't work. Gladiator was just a leftover from Trilogy. That's actually on the deluxe edition. I talked about that particular song on the Trilogy review from back in June. So it's not the Trilogy deluxe minus the song Sex Me is really not worth it that much. There might be actually 2 songs out of the 4 on there that are worth it, but Gladiator was one of the ones that wasn't. Just didn't really appreciate the overly bravado type feel that particular one. I mean, for a song like Gladiator, you'd think it'd be like a highly bravado type one, just something real triumphant and esteemed, but it just didn't really pull off the vibe nearly as well as it needed to. Didn't really have too much of thrills about it. And then the legendary DJ Screw, this one's kind of disappointing just because the heraldment that DJ Screw kind of has. Definitely a lot of Texas cats tend to pay homage to him, but it's just kind of the concept. I would have figured it would have been a better song, something a little bit more syrupy, something a little bit better to get tore up to. It's kind of like a weaker kind of boom bap type production that just didn't really have the esteem or the overall heraldment that it really was probably necessarily needed to do, which is too bad because there's some folks on there like Truth Zero, Big Hawk, some of those type folks, but just didn't really have the appeal behind it. But yeah, this album's pretty damn quality, I'd say. Still 10 out of 14 is extremely excellent. You know, it's pretty above balance, I'd have to say. So yeah, definitely one that I was talking about that has a lot of contemporary feels about it is Triller with Kurt Cobain's. It's like a creeping kind of night sparkle of a song, I'd have to say in particular. It's like a wicked good demon time turn up of a song, I'd have to say. This has a Drake-esque hook from like Kurt Cobain's, I'd have to say. Pretty good concept for that. Definitely feels like something circa 2011, just some good pitches, some of that night turn up. And this is a real extremely good contemporary pop, I'd have to say. So this song probably could have been a single. This would have been a nice one to have gotten bun-b some publicity. This probably would have been a good look for Kurt Cobain's too, just because apart from like that Drink in My Cup song or something like that, he didn't really have too many hits. He kind of was just like a mixtape rapper that kind of floundered later on. But I do like this particular bun-b and Kurt Cobain's kind of team up. So this is a nice one. This definitely, like I was saying, could have been a single. There are some leftover Pimp C moments on here. Cake is a pretty good example of that. It's like a Liddy kind of queeze kind of summer evening dredge of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a throwback kind of UGK slow creep vibes about this particular song. It's a concept of just cruising and lax and pitches like that. It's real creep along as far as pitches like that kind of go. Get some smokage in your system. Definite great swisher music, I'd have to say. And it's like a good snackage type song. Just pick up some food, go for supply runs, pitches like that, I'd have to say. And it's a good song to drift. Real good summery car-centric type song to get circa late 2013, early 2014 as far as pitches like that kind of happened. Just vintage. If you do miss bun-b from like the 90s days, early 2000s days, late 2000s days, this is a good concept to kind of get some of that. Kind of not too many terrible folks really fuck with some of these UGK type cruisers as far as pitches like that kind of goes. Just really to be appreciated. Just some great smoking music. Some of these nightclub songs on here like Fire definitely on this project. So a song like Don't Play With Me is a pretty nice one. This has Pimp C on the hook, I'd have to say. It's like a stock kind of early 2010s nightclub rev up, I'd have to say in particular. It's like some basic kind of stunt music, I would have to say. Smoke a good one, definitely. And this is just a pretty social pop. So this is like some good fraternized type music, just some dap getting, pitches like that. The good concept of just kicking back, getting some drinks in your system, some of that type fare. Scoping out some ladies to speak to as far as pitches like that kind of happen. Just some good night overall appeal. Very glitzy album. You can tell by the album cover that this really has a sparkle about it. That bun-b was kind of had the club in mind as the overall concept of this kind of stepping out a bit and just having some night pizzazz. There are a series of further songs like that. Stop Playing's another one like that. It's like a basic kind of mid-pace energy club hitter, I'd have to say in particular. It's like a decent kind of venue noise. It's like a typical kind of venue noise, I'd have to say. Some good fraternized times, I would definitely feel like it's just a good song to situate and drink. Yeah, basic situate type gem to kind of get here. Just some good marinate type music just for out and about, just typical kind of fanfare as far as that would particularly kind of happen, just basic kind of dap type song. A lot of good nightlife on here, like I've been saying. Eagles is a pretty nice one. This is pretty similar to Fire and Don't Play With Me, some of those type pitches. It's like a sparkly kind of outing pizzazz of a song, I'd have to say. It's like some vanilla step out, and it's like a fresh, feeling good kind of night venue noise, I'd have to say in particular. And this goes well with Don't Play With Me, I'd have to say, like I was saying, just a good concept for that. There's some real appealing type ones to kind of get here. Just overall like the pizzazz of this record. I'm glad that bun-b really packed this out with like some socialness about it. It's just a good concept to really say that he was just kind of feeling good about this particular product, wanted to socialize, just have some times, turn up a bit, Friday music, Thursday music, Saturday music, some of those type fairs, mingle, some of that type stuff. On Top's another nice one like that. This is kind of like a factory kind of bustling evening energy of a song, I'd have to say. It's definitely like some errands wrap up and kind of initial club and pull up type moments, I'd have to suppose, as far as that particular kind of goes. This song slaps pretty good, and this is like a good Traverse type song. I think this song is actually called Off Top. I think I said it was On Top, but it's actually called Off Top. Good concept, kind of get that in particular, but it is a nice one. This is a real kind of typical type one, very bustling type appeal. Just some evening Traverse, just some good concepts to get you revved, and just pitches like that, just some getting ready to get turned up, some of that type of fare. Call up the homies, some pitches like that, scope out, call up some ladies, meet up. As far as that particular pitch kind of goes, it's a good concept. Just some initial kind of feel good buzzing type energy you kind of have for some of that night fare. Really appreciate the concept of it. Dipping and Swerving's a pretty nice one. This is like a vintage, just like a glitzy kind of vintage late 2000s club bounce of a song, I'd have to say. This one reminds me more of like the two Trill days, which there's not a ton of songs like that on this particular album. I feel like most of this is probably circa 2010, 2011. But I do appreciate the concept of getting some of this from like the two Trill type days, because I do like that album pretty good as well. It really feels like the most retro song on here, but it is a good bounce of a song. It's like a good vanilla kind of night energy, I'd have to say. Definite get crunk and kind of fraternize type song to kind of get here. This really feels almost like a drum and boy type production, something like that. Midnight Black, one of those type folks as far as particular pitches like that kind of go. It's too bad that Jeezy wasn't on this particular album. That would have been a pretty good pitch. Some of those type folks as far as that particular kind of went with it. Some good pitches kind of get this one. This is definitely one of the songs off this particular product. That's definitely one of the songs off this particular product that's an immediate one that just makes the project worth purchasing in terms of like the immediate kind of casual type sense. I mean, at least if you have throwback, if you remember like the late 2000s days as far as pitches like that. I mean, this album has stock hit after hit, but I think in terms of like the concept for folks that are more casual bound, there's just some ones on here. Like I would definitely say Fire and Trill are some of the best type moments in terms of more casual type appeal. Maybe a little bit of Cake as far as that particular kind of goes along with it. And I do feel like there's enough of these nightclub bops on here, but in terms of like a less kind of hardcore type sense, but at least if you know like Southern rap, you know folks like Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, Young Jock, some of those type folks, Young Dro, T.I., some of that type there. I feel like Dippin' and Swerving's definitely a real good throwback type one from 2008, 2009 type days. Pretty good concept. On one's a pretty nice one. This has Devin the Dude and Gator Main on there. This is a real nice woozy kind of ladies kickback of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a stellar kind of graveyard shift car traverse malaise of a song, I'd have to say. It's like a good Devin the Dude hook, like I was definitely saying, definite great concept for that. Just atypical kind of Devin the Dude type hook on here, which is a pretty good concept just because he wasn't really fucked with as much in like the mid-late 2010s, early mid-2010s. This is like a pretty good dredge hit. So this would have to say this is like more kind of Waffle House kind of drunken woozy type fare, just that dredge of like either like 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, just the after hours of like a long night, or just the pitches of like evening dredge of like 5:30, 6 p.m. as you a little bit woozy from like the work shift. Just kind of the concept as far as that particular kind of goes. Just either brunch type fare or almost dinner type fare as far as that particular kind of goes along with it. But it's just a good concept kind of get some of this. This reminds me of something that Kurt Cobain's, Paul Wall, some of those type folks, maybe even Slim Thug on a more romantic type day would kind of do just within that relative pitch. Just let some good dredge kind of get. Pretty good Appreciate bun-b song here to kind of get. And then the song Bye is a pretty nice one. It's like a gnarled kind of club pounder, I'd have to say. It's like some rap mosh energy I definitely feel about this one. The song goes ham, definitely, I would have to say. It's like some dance club noise. I would definitely feel like it's not too many dance club songs on here, I'd have to say. I mean, there's definitely some club type songs, but in terms of like the dance club, women shaking their ass, full blown twerk type noise, I'd have to say this is a pretty nice one. It's like the album needed way more songs like this, I'd have to say, and this is a pretty good slapper. So it's definitely one more amongst the dance floor, just pitches like that. It's kind of more, less marinating in the club, getting drinks in your system, mingling, and more so just, getting crunk, turn up some of that type of energy, just more down on the floor pitches like that, having a good time. So I'd say as far as that particularly kind of happens, it's just some good concepts there. But yeah, this overall album has a lot of good glitzy appeal. Bun-b is not as full-blown contemporary on this project, but that's not to say that this album lacks quality, I'd say, or just overall appeal. It's just kind of the concept that bun-b has always kind of been off to the wayside. It's just kind of the concept about it. Underground Kings is the name of the concept. It's just them being kings of the underground. It's just kind of the pitch of that. I would have to recommend definitely investing in some of this. There are at least a few songs, at least probably two or three, or even yeah, I would say at least two or three songs that have some degree of contemporary kind of casual appeal that are like the breadwinners for this particular project. But this album is definitely packed full of nightlife, I'd have to say. So the score I'm going to give this album, me recommending 10 songs out of 14 on here. I'm going to go ahead and give this album like an 8.5 out of 10. Pretty much like an arguable classic, like I was saying. It's right on the verge of getting like a basic, damn approachable classic type score. It's the concept of some of these four type ones that just were not as recommendable. I just feel like the Uptown Feelings just didn't nail it as well. As far as this being like a more summer type album, just more day commerce, it kind of felt more of like a sunset type album as bun-b rode off into the sunset for like tomorrow's rap music. As far as pitches like that kind of happen, it's not to say that bun-b was old and washed up. It's just kind of the concept that he was just kind of fading just because the concept that times were kind of shifting. But it's not to say that he's a product of yesteryear. It's just kind of the concept that he'd been around for pretty much over 25 years. It's just kind of concept. But I look after it. Some good concepts on here. Just had to say some of that type fare. There's a couple clumsy type ones apart from basically standard sheer hit after hit. I'd have supposed to 8.5 out of 10. Lots of good nightlife, like I was saying, plenty of good stock club type songs. This is a pretty ferocious album just in terms of the bite that it has. This could probably last all weekend, several months of this weekend type fare. I'd have to say good Thursday, Friday, Saturday type music pitches like that. Just some good, just get crunk type fare. The social score as a result of that's going to get a 9.5 out of 10 because I feel like there's just plenty of songs in here. Songs like Fire, songs like Don't Play With Me, songs like Stop Playing, Triller, Off Top, Eagles, Dipping and Swerving, some of those type pitches even by. So that's basically 8 songs, over half the album out of 14 songs on here. Just some real glitzy, probably in some cases same night, or even if it's different nights, it's the concept of just multiple nights of just nightclub type fare that lasts for a good while and it's pretty durable and replayable, I'd have to say. So it's just a good concept, just a lot of frenetic type energy, a little bit of drill on here, some good turn ups, some 2010s type fare, some throwback kind of vibes that just overall have that night appeal and this overall blissfulness. It's right on the cusp of getting a 10 out of 10 in terms of social score. If Triller had been a single with Kurt Cobain's and if it had a little bit more promotion, I definitely would have said that this probably would have been a classic in terms of social, but it is just right on the heels of that. Just I'd say. So that's the basic concept. In terms of the future, like bun-b has been putting out projects. He put out like a Trill Static album recently. He has plenty more projects I'm gonna have to get to as far as that particular fair kind of goes. I would definitely have to say I like this being like the conclusion to like the Trill saga, even though there is a return of the Trill from 2018 that I'm gonna have to get to. It's a good pitch for that. But I do like all 4 of these Trill projects: Trill, Two Trill, Trilogy, and Trilogy the Epilogue. This is a good series to kind of have here. All of these are pretty bountiful in this overall kick ass, I'd say. So I do appreciate the concept. This is another real extremely good type one. So just I'd say it's full of social nightlife pitches like that. Just a good weekend type thrills. Just overall good monsters type energy. Some night type fairs. Some socializing. Just pitches like that. A good dap song. Just work shift wrap up pitches like that. And just enjoy the nightlife and just have some good times.